are. Here we are. Here we are. Let's just make sure we're over on the YouTubes. Yeah, there it is. There it is. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys send me articles, you tweet me ideas, and that's how we build the show. We're getting our news on together in the morning or afternoon or evening, wherever it is when you're seeing this. It's morning for me. So this is just me getting my morning news, finding out what's going on today. And there's a lot going on today. There really is. First of all, Obama is back in the news. That's where we're going to start today. Pete Buttigieg is trending right now on Twitter. Pete Buttigieg is a liar is trending on Twitter. We're going to look into why. It's because of an article written over on The Root. We're going to dive into that. And there's some climate change news, some news out of Syria, exciting stuff. But we're going to start with Obama. So this article was shared by Christina. Christina, thank you for sharing this. And some of you guys probably already know this about me because I've talked about it openly, because why shouldn't I? The documentation is out there. I gave Barack Obama the benefit of the doubt until the very end. I wanted to believe so bad that the activist from Chicago was still in there. I wanted to believe so bad that he was a lefty who just was kind of shackled, while he was in office. And that just wasn't the case at all. And you can find old videos of me giving Obama the benefit of the doubt. If you look real closely, you can see the egg on my face, even back then. Obama, by his own admission, is a moderate Republican. Those are his words. When he had a Democrat supermajority, he gave us Mitt Romney's healthcare plan. And no, he didn't flake on the public option because of pressure from other Democrats. Sure, there were a lot of Democrats not for the public option, but he had a supermajority, and the majority of the public wanted a public option. And the people who he turned on were not the people who didn't want a public option. They were the people who did, i.e. Dennis Kucinich. That's who Obama turned on. Obama twisted Dennis Kucinich's arm into supporting the ACA. And then because Dennis Kucinich made a big deal about the public option not being there, Obama redistricted him. That's what happened. So that's who Obama went against, not the people who didn't want a public option, the people who did. Because Obama did not want a public option, because Big Pharma did not want a public option. That's just what happened. And since he's been out of office, Obama has collected plenty of checks from Wall Street, where he gives speeches where he wags his fingers at voters and tells the left to, quote, settle down. And still, even in the debates, you get questions about, there was a question in the last debate that I watched in Australia. There was a question about his legacy. It was about healthcare, of course, and it was about his legacy, as if that's a concern. 30 million people don't have healthcare. Every year, thousands and thousands and thousands of people die because of lack of healthcare services, because they don't have access to healthcare in the richest country in the world. And I'm supposed to care not about the fact that that's happening. I'm supposed to care about Obama's legacy. Who cares that we have this policy that sucks, that, we got the Affordable Care Act. It's Mitt Romney's healthcare plan. A lot of people still can't afford it. 30 million people are still left out. Who cares about that? What about Obama's legacy? Who cares about Obama's legacy? I sure as hell don't. I don't care about Obama's legacy because he has proven time and time again he's not the person I voted for. Or who I thought I was voting for, rather. And when he weighs in on politics here in California, he weighed in on the midterms to endorse Dianne Feinstein. That was what he did here in California. He didn't say anything about the rent control bill that we had. He didn't say anything about the public and banking initiative in Los Angeles. He didn't say anything about the progressives that were trying to break in. He endorsed Dianne Feinstein. Dianne Feinstein, who is basically a Republican, who is full-throatedly against single-payer health care and was against it from day one here in California and did her part to make sure it was stabbed in the back and shelved here in California. And here's what Obama has to say about 2020. Obama said he would speak up to stop a Bernie Sanders nomination. Bernie's not a Democrat, one close advisor to the former president told Politico. Former President Barack Obama, who has so far taken a neutral position publicly on the 2020 Democratic presidential primary, privately indicated he would speak up to stop Bernie Sanders from becoming the party's nominee should the Vermont senator make significant gains, Politico reported on Tuesday. Politico's Ryan Liza, who spoke to several of Obama's advisors, wrote that the former president sees his role in the Democratic primary process as providing guardrails to make sure it doesn't get too ugly and to unite the party when the nominee is clear. But there's one exception, and that's Bernie Sanders. Here's allegedly what Obama said privately. Back when Sanders seemed more of a threat than he does now, Obama would speak up to stop him. So according to this article goes on to say Sanders, who lost the Democratic primary race to Hillary Clinton, in 2016, has remained among the frontrunners since announcing his second presidential bid in February. Asked whether Obama would really step in to prevent a Sanders nomination, one advisor told Liza that he can't really confirm that. So according to this advisor, he hasn't said that directly to me. The only reason I'm hesitating at all is because, yeah, if Bernie were running away with it, I think maybe we would all have to say something. But I don't think that's likely. It's not happening. Another close Obama friend reportedly told Liza that Bernie's not a Democrat. Bernie's not a Democrat until it's convenient for them. Until they want his email list, until they want him to do community outreach, until they want him to go on a unity tour. Bernie's not a Democrat until all those. When those things happen, then Bernie's a Democrat. But until those, Bernie, no, he's not a Democrat. So that's what Obama has to say about 2020. Why does he want to stop Bernie Sanders? Well, he needs to make sure it doesn't get too ugly. Which, he's been telling the left to settle down. You got to settle down about the upcoming climate catastrophe. Settle down. The climate's collapsing. Just settle down. Settle down. People are dying in the streets without health care. Settle down. Settle down. People have to work 2 and 3 jobs in the richest country in the world because they're not paid living wages. Because there are no protections for workers in this country. Settle down. Settle down. Unions are being decimated. Settle down. Settle down. You have to go into debt for the rest of your life to get a higher education in the richest country in the world. Settle down. Settle down. No big deal. Go out and have a beer. Go out and have a beer and just kind of talk it out and forget about it. Forget about all that debt. Forget about the fact that you're one paycheck away from going under. Forget about the fact that the climate's collapsing. Forget about the fact that we're in endless war for no reason except for oil. Just settle down. Just settle down. Settle down. For many of us, it's the first time in our lives where there's actually a viable option for president who reflects some of the principles that we care about. It's the first time in my lifetime. It's never happened before. And when someone like Bernie Sanders makes it this far, it's because the establishment screwed up somewhere. They try to make sure something like that can't happen. When it happens anyway, it's because they screwed up somewhere. It's because in 2016, when they ran the least popular candidate maybe ever in the history of the Democratic Party, they bit off a little more than they can chew. And a progressive saw a lane and he took it. But settle down. Settle down. The whole world is watching. And many of them are hoping adamantly that Bernie Sanders is the nominee because they know what's at stake. And they know that in the upcoming climate catastrophe, the United States needs to be a leader. And they know that incrementalism ain't going to solve it. And they know that Donald Trump and the right sure as hell ain't going to solve it. So they know there's one option. But settle down. Settle down. And, you know, if Barack Obama needs to, he'll step in. He'll step in and stop Bernie Sanders, just like he stepped in Chicago and insisted that his facility be built, even though it screwed over the community and community organizers were against it. Just like he stepped in here in California to endorse Dianne Feinstein. Dianne Feinstein, the person who told a bunch of kids to shut up and go away when they told her they wanted a planet to live on. Who said that if single payer means the government takes over healthcare, she's not there yet, quote unquote. Find that video. That's who Barack Obama endorsed. And now, who's he endorsing now? Well, gee, just anyone except Bernie. That's where Obama's at. Anyone but Bernie. Barack Obama. Because, you know, Bernie might disrupt his legacy. Who cares about the millions of people that die without health care? Obama got the Affordable Care Act. And that's part of his legacy. Do we really want to disrupt that legacy? And that's important, right? What kind of democratic society puts the ego of a former president above the fact that people are dying in the streets every day without health care? What kind of bootlicking sycophant nightmare is that? That's our corporate media. That's what that is. Unreal. All right. So now I'm awake. Now I am awake. All right. So we got to go to the Pete Buttigieg thing next. We got to go there. Because he has been trending for the past night. So this article came out in the Root. And by the way, I got this from Buck over on Twitter. Buck, thank you for that. And this article kind of went viral. And it's because there was a video that surfaced where Pete Buttigieg is blaming. Well, you know what? We'll just watch the video. He's asked about yeah, we'll go ahead and watch the video. But anyway, let's get to the article first here because it's pretty interesting. All right. Pete Buttigieg is a lying MF. That's the headline. That's the headline. All right. So let's dive in. Pete Buttigieg is a lying MF. All right. Presidential Pete. So this guy goes, he tells a story about how he's a lucky guy. I'm a lucky motherfucker, he says. Presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg is a lucky MFer too. He attended one of the best private schools in the country that was quite literally on the campus of one of the best colleges in the country, University of Notre Dame. His father was a professor there for 29 years. I almost said 99 years. It's a hell of a run. I bet you get full tenure at 99 years. His mother taught at an even better, more elite school. And if you ask how he got into Harvard or became a Rhodes Scholar, Mayor Pete would probably insist that it had nothing to do with his whiteness. But he didn't have to jump a ditch. So when a clip surfaced of Buttigieg, I got to do it once, explaining why Negro kids fail at school so often, his answer made perfect sense. Kids need to see evidence. So here's what he said. I think the video's here. Oh, maybe it's not. Okay. All right. So we'll just read it instead. So here's what he said. Kids need to see evidence that education is going to work for them. Buttigieg explained whitely. This is the article, by the way, when he was running for mayor in 2011. You're motivated because you believe at the end of your education there's a reward, there's a stable life, there's a job, and there are a lot of kids, especially in the lower income minority neighborhoods, who literally just haven't seen it work. There isn't someone who they know personally who testifies to the value of education. In other words, what Pete Buttigieg said is all these young black kids see all these unemployed black people in their minority black neighborhoods, and they're like, well, I guess I'm not going to do anything. That's why Pete Buttigieg thinks there's an inequality in education. Pete Buttigieg thinks it's because these black adults, they're all just unemployed, walking around some minority neighborhood. And these kids see that and they think, well, I guess I'm not going to go to college. That's what Pete Buttigieg thinks the problem is. So the article goes on to say, I want to be clear, Pete Buttigieg is a lying MFer. This is not a misunderstanding. This is not a misstatement. Pete Buttigieg went to the best educational institutions America has to offer, and he, more than anyone else on the goddamn planet, knows that everything he's just said is a bald-faced lie. So here's some statistics that maybe speak to the inequality in education a little more than Pete Buttigieg's theory that all black adults are just unemployed and black kids see that and think, meh. Getting back to the article here, majority minority schools receive $23 billion less in funding than majority white schools, according to a recent study by EdBuild. Black students in Indiana, the state where Buttigieg serves as mayor, and across the country are disciplined more harshly than white students. But even though Buttigieg has never attended a school with more than 10% black students, he thinks he knows what's stopping black kids from achieving their educational dreams. Apparently, it's not the fact that the unemployment rate for black college graduates is twice as high as the unemployment rate for white grads. Black college graduates are paid 80 cents for every dollar a white person with the same education earns. White people leave college with lower debt and higher earnings. White kids get more resources, more advanced classes, and have access to more technology. But Pete says it could all be solved with a vision board. Mayor Pete's bullshittery is not just wrong. It is proof. It proves men like him are willing to perpetuate the fantastic narrative of Negro neighborhoods needing more role models and briefcase carriers that make the people in power stare into the sun and see the blinding light of racism. Get along moderates would rather make shit up out of the whole cloth than wade into the waters of reality. Pete Buttigieg, oh, I love this sentence. These two sentences, rather. This sums up everything about Pete Buttigieg and why he is doing something he has no business doing in running for president. Pete Buttigieg doesn't want to change anything. He just wants to be something. God, I am going to repeat that. Pete Buttigieg doesn't want to change anything. He just wants to be something. Drop the frickin' microphone, Michael Harriot. Well done, sir. Wow. Yes. In fact, I'm going to tweet that right now. Yeah. Pete Buttigieg doesn't want to change anything. Make sure I get it right. It's to be something. Of that, dudes. I'm going to go ahead and link the article again too while I send that tweet. If you want to show that some love on Twitter, I'd appreciate it. But I just quoted that on Twitter. Man, that is beautiful. That is poetry, is what that is. All right. So well done. Well done, Michael Harriot. Although I got to say, I do think there is a chance that Pete Buttigieg is that clueless. I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. It is the fact that he doesn't want to change anything. He's just a go-along moderate, as this article points out. This article that was beautifully written. But I also think there's a chance that Pete Buttigieg is that disconnected from regular people that he truly does believe that. Academia can provide a hell of an ivory tower. And there is a ton of subtle racism in academia. And it's one of the more disgusting things within that institution. And this is coming from someone who was in academia for a while and couldn't do it anymore and decided to leave. I finished my master's, and originally I thought I was going to go on for my PhD. I didn't. And thank God I didn't. Yeah. I mean, first of all, the job market is terrible, but also, like, I got a few peeks under the hood that made me realize it wasn't for me. One of them was I helped organize this conference, and it was one of the worst experiences of my life, organizing this academic conference. And it made me realize that the department I was in, what they really wanted was minions. Anyway, I'm not going to get off on a tangent. My point is, it can provide a hell of an ivory tower where you're really disconnected from the regular world and regular people. And Pete Buttigieg, that's his world in many ways. So I think there's a chance that there's also part of him that genuinely believes that nonsense because he's just so disconnected. You'd like to think some of his other experiences would have primed him, but I have my doubts. But what an article. I'm glad this article went viral. Please share it. It is from The Root. And again, that title, it's a pretty obvious title. Of course, it'll be in the clip as well. But again, Pete Buttigieg is a lying MF. Easy title to remember. Important when you want an article to go viral. Man. And I'll end on that quote one more time because it's worth repeating. Pete Buttigieg doesn't want to change anything. He just wants to be something. Well said, Michael Harriot. Well said. All right, let's move on from Pete Buttigieg. I still got to do it sometimes. All right. This is from Edwin. Edwin, thank you for sharing this. This is going on over in Boston. And I like Boston. And Boston, by the way, we're going to see you again in 2020. We're working on those tour dates. We should have some East Coast dates soon. But here's what's going on. This is from WBUR. Massachusetts State Police tested out Boston Dynamic Spot, the robot dog. Civil liberties advocates want you to know more. I think there's a picture here. Okay, that doesn't look creepy at all. Oh, look, it can open a door. Are you guys seeing that? Yeah, that's a robot dog opening a door and going into someone's house. Freedom, baby. Freedom. All right. Cops have long had dogs and robots to help them do their jobs. Now they have a robot dog. Hey, man, you want a robot? You want a dog? Dude, bro, got you covered. We got a robot dog. Massachusetts State Police is the first law enforcement agency in the country to use Boston Dynamics dog-like robot called Spot. They had to go and give it a cute name. God damn it. While the use of robotic technology is not new for state police, the temporary acquisition of Spot, a customizable robot some have called terrifying. Some have described it as terrifying. Others described it as, kind of endearing. He grows on you. You can feed him these microchip treats. You feed them these treats. They're just microchips. What's on them? People's information. It's a facial recognition database. You feed it to him, and then he retains the information. It's adorable. We're probably giving them ideas. Anyway, okay, this is raising questions from civil rights advocates about how much oversight there should be over police robotics programs. How about none? Because we shouldn't have police robotics programs. The state's bomb squad had Spot on loan from Waltham-based Boston Dynamics for 3 months starting in August until November, according to records obtained by the ACLU. The documents do not reveal a lot of details about the robot dog's exact use, but a state police spokesman said Spot, like the department's robot, was used as a mobile remote observation device to provide troopers of images of suspicious devices or potentially hazardous locations, like where an armed suspect might be hiding. Right. Yes, I'm sure that's all it'll do. You know what they use real dogs for a lot? Detecting drugs. That's what they do real dogs for a lot. Detecting pot or something like that. This robot dog can just kind of open doors. Gee, I wonder what they're going to use it for. I really wonder. I'm sure it's just to catch a really bad guy. Now, here's what the state police spokesman, David Procopio, wrote. Robot technology is a valuable tool for law enforcement because of its ability to provide situational awareness of potentially dangerous environments. Yeah, I'm sure it could do that. I'm sure that's a true statement. But they have these robot dogs that can just go into your house. And we already live in a grossly over-militarized and over-policed state. State police say Spot was used in 2 incidents in addition to testing. Look, we took Spot out to the park. He didn't get along with other dogs. This one dog tried to take his ball, and he shot the dog with his laser. Kind of awkward. The dog has recovered quite well. That didn't actually happen. I'm just, Boston Dynamics Vice President for Business Development, Michael Perry, said the company wants Spot to have a lot of different uses in industries ranging from oil and gas companies to construction to entertainment. Hey, you can get your own Spot where you can feed them the data chips of facial recognition. Do you want a dog, but you don't want to have to feed it every day? Have Spot. And included bonus, Spot will survey your apartment and send the information to police. Smoking dope? Well, now Spot knows, and now the police will know too. Are you entertained? They want him for entertainment. Spot's going to be, here's a robot doing flips, and then it opens your door and, takes down all your information. Are you entertained? He envisions police sending Spot into areas that are too hazardous for a human, a chemical spill, or near a suspected bomb, or into a hostage situation. Yeah, they could do all that. And that'd be good. But they're also going to help out the oil and gas companies, and they'll entertain you. Right now, our primary interest is sending the robot into situations where you want blah, 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 blah. Spot's a general purpose robot with an open API. That means customers, whether a police department or warehouse operator, can customize Spots with its own software. For all its potential, Boston Dynamics doesn't want Spot weaponized. I'm sure they have nothing to worry about. I'm sure these private companies that make this stuff, I'm sure their first concern is that what if somebody abuses this? I mean, how would we sleep at night if somebody were to abuse this thing? And I'm sure they have nothing to worry about. I'm sure that's not going to happen. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. All right. Good job, Boston. He might be entertaining, guys. Come on. Thank you for sharing that, Edwin. That is disturbing and Orwellian. All right. So, guys, the United States is not leading on climate change. But fortunately, some other nations are trying to do so. And they're gathering. Here's a report over at The Guardian. The UN calls for a push to cut greenhouse gas levels to avoid climate chaos. Global emissions must fall by 7.6% a year for the next decade to avoid a crisis, the report says. Countries must make, this is from the Guardian article, countries must make an unprecedented effort to cut their levels of greenhouse gases in the next decade to avoid climate chaos, the U.S. has warned, as it emerged that emissions hit a new high last year. Carbon dioxide emissions in 2018, also accounting for deforestation, rose to more than 55 gigatons and have risen by an average of 1.5 a year for the past decade. This is according to the UN Environmental Program. Global emissions must fall by 7.6% every year from now until 2030 to stay within the 1.5 Celsius ceiling on temperature rises that scientists say is necessary to avoid disastrous consequences. The only time in recent history when emissions have fallen in any country at a similar rate came during the collapse of the Soviet Union. During the financial crisis and recession, emissions in the US and Japan fell briefly by about 6%, but soon rebounded. However, technologies such as renewable energy and electric vehicles are now available and increasingly cheap. I don't know if I'd agree with that. I don't think electric vehicles are cheap yet. They should be, but anyway, which could enable deep cuts in carbon without jeopardizing economic growth. John Christensen of the Technical University of Denmark, a co-author of the report, told The Guardian the cuts in emissions now required were unprecedented. Postponing action could no longer be an option, said Inger Anderson, executive director of UNEP. Our collective failure to act early and hard on climate change means we must now deliver deep cuts to emissions over 7% each year if we break it down evenly over the next decade. This shows that countries simply cannot wait. Without such urgent action, the world's fate would be sealed within the next few years as carbon would rise to such a level as to make dangerous levels of warming inevitable. We need quick wins to reduce emissions as much as possible in 2020. Then stronger commitments under the Paris Agreement to kickstart the major transformations of economies and societies. We need to catch up on the years in which we procrastinated. And one of the things we need to do is we need to reel in the companies who are causing most of the environmental destruction. We need to reel in these companies. It needs to happen. Amazon needs to be held accountable. The oil and gas companies need to be held accountable and need to be forced to go into renewables or cease to exist. That's what needs to happen. We need to do something drastic to these companies. And an organization like the UN can lead the way on that. An organization like the United States, which basically it's not really a flub of words there. They really are an organization. And in a lot of ways, the United States is just one big corporation. But all right, let's see if there's anything more to this article here. Rana Adib, the executive secretary of the renewable energy think tank REN21, said fossil fuel-centered economies make it difficult for national governments to put climate concerns front and center, with the result that globally we are not on track to meet the Paris Agreement. This truth is hard to face. The emissions gap report shows the harsh reality. Countries collectively fail to stop growth in greenhouse gas emissions. We have the necessary means to pursue the energy transition. What we need is the political and institutional will to make the transition a reality. In short, we need to stand up to the corporations that are destroying our planet. The problem is they have all the money and they have all the power and they've bought our politicians. So that's what we're up against. And what's at stake here? Well, the future of humanity on this planet. Just a little thing. Just a little thing. Future of humanity. The future of our planet. That's what's at stake. No biggie. No biggie. So that's a new report from the UNEP, the UN Environmental Program. And I'm sure one of these weekends we'll get to it and we'll fix everything. All right. So we're going to go over to Syria now. This was shared on our Reddit subsection by Linus, which, by the way, you can check out our Reddit subsection at reddit.com/r/GetYourNewsOnWithRon. That's where you can leave articles for the show. I check it daily. This one was left by Linus, and it is from the World Socialist website, and it concerns Syria. WikiLeaks published some stuff over the weekend indicating more concerns regarding our actions in Syria and regarding the quote-unquote official report that dropped in Syria. So let's go to this article. Leaked email on alleged chemical attack shows 2018 strikes against Syria were based on lies. On Saturday, WikiLeaks published an internet email written by a member of the OPCW, which is the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. And this was about the fact-finding mission to Syria that exposes the far-reaching efforts to suppress and distort evidence in order to claim that the government of Bashar al-Assad was responsible for the alleged April 7th, 2018 attack in Douma, a suburb of Damascus. Okay. The revelation once again makes clear the lying character of the campaign to justify the U.S. regime change operation in Syria, which has turned large sections of the country into a wasteland, killing hundreds of thousands of people and turning millions into refugees. So here's a refresher here in this paragraph. The alleged attack, in which as many as 49 people were reportedly killed, was seized on by the governments of the United States, Britain, and France to justify the launching of missile strikes just 1 week later against Syrian government forces. Now, this part's important here, and a lot of you guys remember when this happened. I remember when this happened. The attacks took place just hours before an OPCW fact-finding team was due to arrive in Syria to begin an investigation. Before. The key word there is before. The attacks took place, and I remember when this happened in real time. I'm sure you do too. We were attacking and we didn't even know what happened. We were like, something happened. We don't know exactly what happened, but we know who did it. That was our logic. That was the United States logic. Something happened in Syria. We don't know what happened, but we know who was responsible. It was Assad, and we got to do something. Because the babies, said Donald Trump. And then we dropped bombs. And then Donald Trump was praised for it. He was called presidential. Because in the United States, when you go on fact-finding missions to seek diplomacy, you're called suspicious. That's controversial. Trying to promote peace is controversial. Trying to promote war, that's presidential. That's the United States mindset, baby. Peace, controversial. War, presidential. That's how it works. So before we even knew what happened or who was behind it, we just started dropping bombs. The assault brought the U.S. and its allies to the brink of open war, not just against Syria, but also against the Assad government's allies, Iran and Russia. The alleged attack in Douma came as Assad was consolidating control of the areas around Damascus, and shortly after Trump had announced that U.S. troops deployed to control the eastern half of Syria, and they'd soon be leaving. So, in other words, Assad was getting what he wanted. And the worst thing he could do would be to gas his own people so that the U.S. came back. But allegedly, that's what he did. That's what everyone was told. Everyone was told that was what was that's what happened. Was the investigation completed when they concluded that? Nope. It hadn't even started. Didn't even start an investigation, but concluded this dude did it, and here's what he did. All right, so on April 8th, one day after the alleged chemical attack, and before any investigation had been carried out, Trump tweeted there had been a mindless chemical attack by the animal Assad, backed by Russia and Iran, and there'd be a big price to pay. Again, April 8th, one day after the alleged chemical attack, and before any investigation had been carried out. No investigation. Didn't know what happened. So Saturday's WikiLeaks release makes it clear that the OPCW report published in July 2018 was shaped to conform with the public allegations made by the U.S. British Mail on Sunday, columnist Peter Hitchens, in an article based on the WikiLeaks release, noticed that the doctoring of the OPCW fact finders report appears to be the worst instance of sexing up in support of war since the invasion of Iraq and Tony Blair's doctored dossiers. We all remember what happened in Iraq, and they're saying this is the worst doctoring up since Iraq. That's pretty heavy. That's pretty heavy. And hey, something's happening here. What's going on? Is the stream? Wait, what's going on here? I'm losing my signal here. What? Hi, this is John Bolton. I had to hijack the stream. I can do that. You know why I can do that? Because I actually know the cat's name. I know that the cat's name is Lucy. So sometimes I can hijack the stream. That's what I can do. I want you guys to know that all this stuff coming out of Syria is a bunch of BS. I helped order the strikes with Trump, and we did the right thing. We were protecting freedom. We are protecting the interests of the American people. Do you not feel free? Do you not feel safe? We are keeping you safe from the people that we are arming. Do you not feel safe from? I mean terrorists. I mean we're keeping you safe from terrorists. That's what I meant. We're keeping you safe from terrorists. And this came from WikiLeaks, by the way. WikiLeaks. Can you really trust WikiLeaks? How often have they had to retract something that they published? Oh wait, what? Never. They never had to retract anything. Like never anything. Are you serious? They never had to retract. Oh, guys, you know what? I hear my car alarm. I gotta go. I hear my car alarm. I gotta go. Wow, that was weird. I did not know that John Bolton could do that here on this show. That's that is really weird to find out. He can do that. But wow. And yeah, John Bolton, sorry to break it to you, but WikiLeaks has never had to retract anything. So Linus, thank you for sharing that. There's some more stuff that has come to the surface on Syria. And in true American fashion, we shot first and asked never. It's not even asked later. It's asked never. Just never ask. Then if more comes to the surface and it turns out you were just BSing the whole time, oh well, that's what imperialists do. All right, let me see what you guys are saying. Balthazar, thank you very much for the super chat contribution. Pete Bourgeois. Oh, that's funny. That's a good nickname for him too. Pete Bourgeois. I like Balthazar. Pete Bourgeois wants to end billionaires in order to create a U.S. with a handful of trillionaires and everyone else having nothing. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Are you okay, Ron? Did John hit you hard? Yes, I'm okay. And some of you guys aren't fans of John Bolton, one of the contributors here to the show. By the way, Lucy has been napping all day, which is weird. She's usually not napping at this time. I'll be honest with you. I'm a little concerned. That's not like her to do that. I think it's because I'm still a little bit jet lagged, so my body clock just kind of screwed up. I had a hard time falling asleep last night, even though I should have been tired. And Lucy was kind of like rustling because of it, because she sleeps on my side of the bed. I was rustling, which was causing her to rustle. And I fell asleep late. I'm still, I was able to have a totally normal day yesterday, which I was really proud of. But then when it came time for bed, which this was like late, this was like after midnight, I just had a hard time falling asleep. Like my body was like, you're usually awake right now. This was usually like dinner time for you or whatever. And yeah. So anyway, I guess I'm still working through it, which I appreciate all you guys being on board with me. By the way, tour dates. We just announced new tour dates. Chicago, Milwaukee, we're coming. Tickets for that just went on sale. Chicago, Milwaukee, tickets went on sale. Chicago, I haven't seen you in a couple years, so I can't wait to see you soon because we're coming. Those tickets just went on sale. 2020 dates. First of all, we'll start with what's going on the rest of the year. Graham Elwood and I are going to be touring a lot in 2020, so we're premiering our 2020 shows right here in the Los Angeles area. December 13th, we're going to be in Ventura, California. December 14th, we're going to be in Los Angeles, California, at the Dojo Comedy Sycamore Tavern. Those tickets are available now at romplacone.com. 2020, these are the shows that are confirmed so far. February 8th, Tucson, Arizona. February 29th, San Francisco, California. March 12th, Orlando, Florida. March 14th, Miami, Florida. April 10th, I'm going to be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's just me, though. April 24th, Seattle, Washington. April 25th, Portland, Oregon. July 11th, Chicago, Illinois. And July 12th, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And we're going to have more dates coming very, very soon. We're going to be going to the Southeast again. We're going to be going to other parts of the Midwest. We're going to be coming back to the East Coast. And we're going to be coming back to Minneapolis and Madison. Guys, we're touring a lot in 2020. I can't wait to see you. If you want to support this show on the sustainability end, please do consider becoming a patron. Patreon.com/RonPlacone. For a give what you can level, you get an exclusive patron stream once a week, a stream just for the patrons where I only respond to the patrons, and I just do the topics patrons suggest. Also, you get dialogues between myself and Lucy before they become illustrated. You get full stand-up clips not available anywhere else. You get my album for download. You can just download my album. It's out there. That's all for you give what you can level. And you help keep this show alive. Guys, I guarantee you this stream was completely demonetized. I guarantee you they demonetized this stream because we mentioned Syria. If you just mention Syria, your stream's demonetized immediately. So all these clips are going to be demonetized. You know the idea. So if you are so able, please help keep this show on the air. Patreon.com/RonPlacone. Guys, thank you very much for another stream. I'm still working through the jet lag. We got an interview coming up later today with Taylor Hudak, who has been active in the Action for Assange movement. And she's also working on a new project that she's going to talk about. So Taylor Hudak's going to be here in about an hour at 11:30 Pacific time, 2:30 Eastern time. I kind of say it the other way, 2:30 Eastern time, 11:30 Pacific time. Tyler Hudak's going to be live with me and we're going to get the lowdown on our new project. So I'll see some of you then. Rest of you, I'll see you tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific time, right here. Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer curated streaming news show. You know the drill. Lucy, who's taking a nap because of me. It's my fault. But Lucy says meow. I say peace. Peace.